Hello friends, welcome back to the ScrapbookPal YouTube channel. I'm Cassie Trask. Today we're going to be playing with the Spellbinders Say Cheese Classic Pooh birthday add-ons. This is one of the dies. This is called the Classic Pooh Birthday Accessories. We're going to pair that up with a very happy birthday sentiments. That's for the BetterPress. And then it goes so perfectly, obviously, with our Classic Pooh that we are going to use the Pooh and Piglet dies. And so there's a lot to die cut here. I'm going to have so much fun. I also grabbed all kinds of cardstocks from my stash and I went ahead and die cut everything out. So here you see all the stuff die cut. It did take a minute to die cut all those things, but I always have so much fun with that. And picking out the colors is great. I decided to go with just a color scheme, a very easy color scheme of blues and greens and of course the honey colors. And I did bring in some Copics because I thought that would be a fun way to just add a little bit of dimension to each of my die cuts. I'll show you all of those at the end, but this is the YR23 that I'm using on Pooh. And I'm just adding a little bit of shadowing where I think that would go, like kind of on the bottom sides of his feet and his legs, and also the bottom sides of his arms, on his back, as you can see. And it is going to dry back just a little bit, and I just suggest whatever colors that you use for cardstock, just kind of go through your Copic stash or find some new ones and yeah, have fun with it. So as you can see, it sort of dried back, and now we'll put Pooh together. I am using the packaging to kind of help me get that all set up, and I'm only using dots of glue right at where the joints would be because I do want Pooh to be holding something, but I'm not exactly sure at this point what I want him to be holding. So I'm just going to put that right at his shoulder. And then we'll pull out the pieces for his nose and his eyes and his ears. So we'll put the little dot where his nose goes, pick that up and put that down. I think it's genius to have the pieces for the eyes and the ear because you could just flip it over, add a little bit of glue, and then you can easily put those behind. That way you're not trying to piece tiny little pieces into the eyes and the ears. But he's so stinking cute. All right, now we're moving on to that birthday accessory set where we have a hat. And so I'm going to again pull out the packaging so I know how to put everything together. And I'm just using my reverse tweezers along with a little bit of that Barely Art glue to piece everything together. I loved this hat, and I did, because I wanted it to be two-toned, used that blue and that green that I have. And so I'll end up having two hats. I'm only going to use the one hat on the outside, and I'll save the other hat for the inside. I love doing lots of die cutting so that way you can add to your scene or you can add to the inside of the card so that you can kind of bring the outside of the card inside the card. So everything kind of matches. So we'll put his little hat on his head and we'll set that other hat off to the side. Now we're going to start piecing together the banner. Once again, I die cut all those pieces out using a darker blue-green, a lighter blue-green, and then just some green. And we're going to use our reverse tweezers and once again put all those pieces down. These are so simple to put together because it's so self-explanatory with these as far as like where the pieces go. There's no guessing, which is wonderful. So you didn't have to worry about all 6 of those banners having a different size of something. It was really, really easy once I got going just to piece it all together. So there we have our little banner set, and I'll save those pieces for another time. And then we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of shadowing and shading to this too. So that green that I have is YG67. And now we can start putting together our presents, and I die cut those out of three different colors. So once again, that dark blue, that lighter blue, and then our green. And we will use the Copics on that one as well. I'm going to poke out the excess pieces that we don't need, and then we can use our reverse tweezers along with that liquid glue to start adhering our packages together. The dies are great because they do have little sort of embossed lines so you know exactly where pieces go. That's always super helpful. And then we've kept with our color scheme. This would be such a fun, it's going to be a fun little birthday card for a little boy. I love it. So there we go. And then we'll bring in those Copics and just add a little bit of shadowing and shading. So that darker blue is the blue-green or BG09. And I'm just adding it where I think it would go. I'll put a little bit underneath where the big bow is also. Just I thought that would really round it out a little bit more and add a little depth. And again, those colors always dry back a tiny bit. So if you're not sure what colors to grab for your cardstock, always start with lighter. You can always go darker. But if you do put a dark down and you don't love it, bring in a light color and blend that out a little bit more. So that's what's great about Copics. Always blend and, kind of work with what you got. All right, so now our presents are done. So let's start piecing together some cake. And I wanted him to have a big, giant chocolate cake. And so I've got a chocolate piece. We also have a little chocolate cupcake. We're going to put our cake onto the dish. We're going to make it a blue dish. And then I cut out the honey, or the frosting is more of a honey color. So we're going to have a chocolate cake with honey frosting. Perfect for Pooh, right? And there's extra pieces of honey that I die cut out from our Pooh and Piglet that we're going to use one of those on his paws. But I'm going to have a chocolate cupcake with honey frosting on there as well. I obviously don't need all the honey drippings that came from the Pooh and Piglet, so we won't use all of those. But I've got all my candles lined up. I cut those out of green and blue, and I cut out all of our little flames. So we're going to stick our flames down on top of each of our candles. And I won't need all of those candles, so we will have those set for another card down the line. I'm only going to use 3 of those candles. And so I've decided Pooh's going to hold the cupcake. So I'll put a little bit of glue behind the cupcake, and then I'll put a little bit of glue on Pooh's paw. And he can hold that cupcake. And this is where that little piece of dripping, like honey dripping, comes in. So I'll add a little bit of shadowing to the cupcake using some YR27. And then we'll do the same thing with this little piece of honey that goes on Pooh's hand. So cute. Almost like he dipped his paw right into that honey frosting and he just can't wait but lick it off. So then now we'll attach that to his paw. And that is so cute. I'm in love with Pooh holding that honey that way. And I can save the little honey drippings for another card. We'll put 3 little dots of glue onto our cake, and we're going to put some candles down. I end up swapping out that first candle for a taller green candle because it looked a little odd to me. So I pull that one off and I'll grab a bigger green candle. And then, of course, I got to add a little shadowing and shading to our cake. So I'm going to grab in those Copics. That again is the YR27. And then we'll add some underneath the candles. That just adds that depth. So I love doing that with my Copics. And then that BG09 for our candle, along with on the plate. And then our YG67 for the green candles. And then we're going to be just about ready to start thinking about our scene. As promised, here are the Copic colors that I used. And before we get to our scene, let's work on some sentiments. We have the A Very Happy Birthday sentiments that goes with our BetterPress system. I'm using some cotton card panels. This is porcelain. And I'm going to ink that up with some tawny brown BetterPress ink. So I thought the brown would be perfect. So we'll ink that up. And then we'll take our piece of paper. Should have done this first. And I'm just going to tack that down with a little bit of Post-it tape onto our clear plate that goes over the top. And then we can run this through our Spellbinders machine. And then you get this perfect letterpress impression and all of those sentiments right there. So I love that. So now let's bring in the matching die that goes along with this. And we can cut out all of those sentiments all at once. And I'm going to use about 3 of those sentiments because why not, right? You've got all of them. You might as well use a few. And it's just fun to kind of, and they're so cute, so classic. Love it. Very Pooh-like. Make a wish, a very happy birthday, many happy returns of the day. Oh, so sweet. And pay no attention to that blue card base up there. We are going to use a different card base, and I will show you how to make the gatefold if you've never made one before. But we are just starting off with a panel that measures 4 3/4 by 3.5 inches, and I did use a mini ink blender using some Rustic Wilderness for our grass. It's very, well, rustic as it is. And then this next color that I'm using is our Salvaged Patina. And you'll see, because I used that such a blue-green color there, I decided it did not look good with that light blue. So we're going to save that light blue card panel for something else. So now we have our sky and we have our grass, and we're going to clean up our mess, and then we're going to make a new panel. So your card base measures 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, and you're going to score that at 2 1/8. The Score Buddy is perfect for that. It already has it marked, and then you easily just fold that in and you have this perfect gatefold. I love gatefold cards because it just like takes your A2 just like right to the next level. It's just sweet. I love gatefolds. And now we're going to piece together our little scene. So I'm using that Barely Art glue once again, along with our reverse tweezers to hold all of our pieces. And I'll stick that down. Looks like it's coming from the sky. Next will come Pooh. He's going to go on that far left-hand side. And then we're going to bring in his cake. And once again, gluing everything down. And now I have our presents and I have sentiments. And I want those to be in the forefront to give this scene a little bit more depth. So I'm bringing in some 3D foam squares. We're going to put those on the back of our presents. I did glue these two small presents together. That just makes it easier. And then I also have some 3D foam strips. Those are going to go behind our sentiments. So we've got It's Your Special Day and Make a Wish. That's going to go at the top there. I'm not going to put that down yet because that is going to stick off of our panel, so I'm going to wait before I put that down. But we'll go ahead and take off the release paper on our presents and we'll put those down. We'll put one there, and then we'll put these two small ones down by the cake, and then we can take off the release paper for Make-A-Wish and put that piece right there. And now I want to attach this down to my card base. So I'm just going to add glue to the far right side there, the back. Flip that over. Just line that up. Liquid glue is perfect for this. And then I can take the release paper off of our first sentiment and now attach it down to that upper left-hand corner. It's your special day, make a wish. But I don't want to stop there since I do have extra pieces. We will glue down a present and we'll put the little hat next to it. And then I do grab one more sentiment, but this gives plenty of room for you to write to your recipient as well. How cute. Many happy returns of the day. So sweet. And that is going to finish off our card for today. I hope you love it as much as I do. If you do, please hit that like button. Definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And be sure to check out all that ScrapbookPal has going on over on their blog, Facebook page, and Instagram for more crafty inspiration. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you soon.